August 21st, 2006. This is Diehard Gamer Radio, episode 13.
You are listening to Diehard Gamer Radio, the source for off-mainstream video game news and topics. Now your hosts, Murdock, Brian, and John.
Lucky 13 now.
Yep. Lucky for some.
Not for us.
Hey, we made it to, over double digits, so I guess we're doing okay.
Yeah, but a 16-year-old with a microphone and iTunes can make it to episode 13. It's just their episodes are like 4 minutes long.
Yeah.
And they've got a bigger market share because they're on iTunes.
They probably do.
This is one unlucky podcast.
Damn it.
Away.
So, welcome back to Diehard Gamer Radio. As always, I am Murdock. Once again, I am joined by John, Brian, and Steve.
Last week he was Eric.
Yeah, actually,
Eric the Viking.
last year he was Erica.
Well,
hey, I saw him in the dress, but I don't want to say anything, man. It was just like, hey, do your own thing, man.
I am comfortable with my sexuality.
Wow.
Anyway,
And he likes silk.
Don't knock it if you haven't tried it.
I'll try it.
I'm not gonna knock it. I'm not gonna knock it. I'm not gonna touch it. I'm not gonna anything with
we
it.
just didn't know whose
I'm
underwear
not
was
going to
whose.
look at it. That's the plan.
Yeah.
Well, I
Pretty
will,
much.
I will send you pictures later.
It's like 3 a.m, you're late for work, and you just grab the nearest pair of underwear. Whose fault is it, really?
Which happens to be female for what reason?
Hey, man, it feels good. You don't know why, but it
I accidentally grabbed a
3
dress.
sizes
You
too
live
small.
alone. Why do you have a dress?
yeah, well, okay, they were tight, but they were comfortable.
Yeah, but was it any...
If you like Die Hard Gamer Radio, you can email us at
Was it any coincidence you had no customers that day?
I wasn't, showing the booty off. It was covered.
That's
Oh
why
my
you didn't have any
God.
customers
I
that
was
day.
just yeah.
All right, let's stop talking about
Yeah.
Brian's milkshake, okay?
Does he bring all the boys to the yard?
Not quite.
Yes, the boys. The Scotland Yard.
Showed us as what?
We want to bring boys to the yard. We bring Damien on the show.
Once again, showed us as what?
Anyway,
Hot
we're,
goes where?
yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to go straight into our news bits. And our first one is that PSP price cut rumors.
Denied.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sony said, hey, they said, hey, you know what? We're going to go ahead and cut the price on the PSP, and then, you know what? All false.
Well, this is a surprise. I mean, none of the companies have ever actually told people beforehand that they're going to drop the price, because it's kind of like shooting yourself in the head.
Yeah.
Only messier.
So, not a big surprise there. Our next news bit, Microsoft announces XNA Game Studio Express. So, basically, this is a development... is it a software that I believe it works on
dev
Windows?
kit.
It's a dev kit. It's $99.
Yes, and that's all you get for the $99, by the way.
Yeah.
You don't actually get... There's a bunch of nifty little things that go along with it that you do not get for the $99.
Yeah.
Yeah, they cost $350. No.
Actually, I think it's like $200. If you pay another $100, you get to put it on their little arcade thing where other people who have paid the extra $99 can...
Very limited audience. Limited.
Yeah, really, it's an interesting idea, allowing hobbyist people to program for both Windows and the 360, but the real problem seems to be that they're not actually giving any distribution model for it. It's more like they're trying to get people interested in it, so they'll give it a try, and maybe they'll cherry pick out the 1 or 2 best things and put them on Xbox Live Arcade.
Yeah.
But otherwise, if you want to give your game to somebody else, you have to send them the source code for your game. They have to be a member of the program as well, have the dev kit, compile it for their Xbox, and then they can play it.
It's still not, I guess, overly expensive. It's still hard to get in there, but at least you got a shot now, and it's not super expensive.
Well, the problem is that nobody's going to get this. I mean, literally, it's not like you have anywhere on Live to put up your game that the vast majority of Xbox Live gamers will be able to get it. It's only the other devs that have paid the money to get to that dev area.
The only way this will help you is, maybe if you're doing Windows games and there's something useful in here.
Yeah.
But then you also have to be programming with XNA Game Studio, and you're doing your development in C#, and it's not really a popular game development choice.
9.
So, next, Nintendo confirms free online play for the Wii.
The Wii is free! The Wii is free!
Yes. Actually, there's a
I've
very-
already been doing that online for like
I went
years.
crazy.
I thought that was the reason we had the internet, was free online play with the Wii.
Well, Nintendo just realized this.
They're a little bit. They missed the boat even longer than Microsoft missed the boat on the World Wide Web, huh?
Yeah.
Well,
So-
no, but remember, now with this, we get to use friend codes to find people to play with our Wiis.
Yes. It's like having an ice cream truck near a park. So basically, our good friend Reggie, Phil's AIM, or whatever his name is pronounced,
Phil Ames.
basically the CEO of Nintendo of America, did confirm that online play for the Nintendo Wii will be completely free of charge, no hidden fees, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but isn't this because they're not actually providing any architecture for online play, or?
I'll be very honest with you, I don't know. I don't know what the exact
Maybe
specifications of that is.
Maybe they're going let's do the opposite of everyone else, and here you go. Here is our free open source Wii server.
But
Because they want everybody to see their Wii.
you know what?
Yes, and be able to adjust their Wii as they see fit.
But here's the thing. It's actually a good idea, Online for free, that's not a bad deal.
What a concept.
Although, then again, I mean, even though I don't really think they're going to release the server, if they're going to have free online play, the possibility that I wonder what the possibility is of someone reverse engineering the protocol they use for online gaming and actually making an open source type server thing where you could kind of homebrew, hack your own multiplayer games together.
Probably not
just
very
about
good
everything else
because the
Nintendo's
games
done.
themselves are probably locked down to talking to a specific IP or something else that's kind of a pain in the ass to get them to shift around a bit.
They sound awful secure and
But
doing it freely.
also, I mean, if they're doing it for free, they're not going to be able to offer much in the way of services either. I mean, although it's not like they really like this idea of an online handle or a friends list or downloadable content or all of that. Mainly, it sounds like they just want to be able to sell you old Nintendo games
Well,
again.
it's just like Nintendo's always said, it's about the games. They don't need to have some mass media architecture that's going to go after all those little things like messengers and friend lists. And
Or silly things like being able to find your friends and play against them online without having to go and call them up and get their friend code to do
Well,
it.
but then there's the thing, too. I mean, maybe this could be we have online free play 1 month later. But if you want to subscribe to a service,
we'll know in November. So, and on an interesting side note, I am getting junk mail at my Google Mail for the Diehard Gamer Radio.
gasp.
And they're saying, hey, your information about the Wii, and all of it points to Viagra sites for whatever reason.
Obvious tag goes here.
Yeah.
At least nobody's sending you Tub Girl links.
That would be, There's not much Wii in that.
Do not do a Google search on it. Next news bit, the Sega Genesis collection for the PSP and PS2. We're talking about it's like 20 to 25 games available on the PSP and PS2.
There's a couple more on the PS2 one, isn't there?
Yes. But there's a list of games. We actually have a link to all the games that are going to be on there. All 3 Phantasy Stars for the Genesis, Alex Kidd, the Shinobis, Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2. So there's quite a bit of really good old school games on there. But I will say this, colossal fail for the fact that Streets of Rage is not on the list at all.
And this is a much better deal than they got in Japan, where you bought these games individually as PS2 games.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
But when you don't have to pay for a car, you've got extra income.
So next, Disgaea and Riviera both get PSP remakes, and these are both cult RPG games. Disgaea we have great love for, and Riviera, which is a underrated Game Boy Advance RPG, didn't get a lot of love here, but they're both very good games.
they're not doing anything special for the Riviera, though.
They
Actually,
are.
they
are adding, from my understanding, they're adding more original artworky type stuff.
So it would be
They're
worth
redoing
getting
a lot of the
versus
graphics to
GBA.
match the 16:9 screen.
Okay.
It is going to
okay.
be an improved version.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Maybe an animated opening? Who knows? Disgaea?
Hard to say.
Yeah.
Although, wow, that'd be kind of amazing to have a portable version of Disgaea. You know, maybe if I played it 24/7, I might be able to beat it.
Even then, you might not be able to beat it. That game just takes forever and a day.
You can play it for as long as you want to, yeah.
So, next, Atari to publish Bullet Witch in the U.S. John, you know a little bit more about Bullet Witch than I do.
Well, I'm looking forward to this one. I mean, I still don't have a 360 yet, so I don't know how much I'm looking forward to it.
Well,
You're looking forward to it
it
more.
on your hand real
You're definitely
fast.
looking forward to it more than if it was just on the import 360.
Yeah, and this one also, I mean, the 360 doesn't really have the sort of Capcom stylish third-person shooter yet, and this looks like that'll go ahead and slot in that
Fill that
notch.
niche, yeah.
So, and from the screenshots and everything I saw of Bullet Witch, it does look like an interesting game. Hopefully Atari won't screw it up.
Yeah.
And wink,
Well,
wink, nudge, nudge.
You know, we can hope for a Japanese language track in addition to an English one, you know.
I am the great Bullet Witch.
Yeah, voiced by Lisa Ortiz.
Or
No,
by
that
a
would
guy
involve more screaming.
or by a guy in 2 small panties.
Nah.
So, next news bit: Dead Rising censored for violence for the Japanese release. So what it is that Dead Rising has not come out in Japan yet, but when it does come out in Japan, it will be heavily censored for the Japanese release. And the reason for that is this is due mostly to the new Japanese rating system. In a nutshell, the CERO, which is the rating system, which is equivalent to the ESRB in the United States, recently changed, and instead of having normal ratings that made sense, like, 12 and above, 18 above, adults only type stuff, they now have A, B, C, D, E type ratings. And there is such a small distinction between like a D, which would probably be considered, say, like a TV 14 or a teen, to I think the most violent rating is like a Z. And
they actually have 26 gradations.
no, it's only like 5. It's like A through D and then Z. Or E or something
Z
like
is
that.
so bad they jumped all the way to the end of the alphabet.
Regardless of what the rating is,
like the
there's like a small
NC-17.
distinction between like what's teen and what's considered mature. And the thing is that a lot of the Japanese stores are not carrying these really heavily mature games. They're like putting them on like top shelves and they're not selling. So Capcom's having to really censor the game so they can get it to this rating just so it will sell.
Wow. Well, I mean...
Well, there you go. A good example of the Japanese importing American games.
That's
or
what it's
at least
looking like.
importing crappy American ideas.
Well, yeah.
Well, I mean, but they could import the Dead Rising non-Japanese version.
Well, they could if the 360s weren't region locked.
Well, yeah, because that stopped people before.
We don't have a mod chip for the 360 yet.
Yet.
I'm just saying, not been a problem in the past.
Well,
It takes about a year generally, but yeah.
it's already been a year.
For the 360? Yeah,
Yeah.
but you're assuming that's a year after it really started selling over there.
It hasn't started selling over there yet.
Aren't they on their second release now? And there's actually another guy heading the release now because the first guy did so
They're just
poorly.
going to start getting more desperate. It's like, they give you a soccer ball with the Xbox 360, and now they're going to,
It's gonna be like a
It
free
may be
blow-up
it may be a
anime
deal
doll
where
or something.
it's the modifier for how long it takes the system to be modded is how many people actually buy the damn thing.
It's like a ratio per sales.
Yeah.
Although there's been plenty of sales here in the U.S.
Yeah, but the mod chips don't come out of the U.S.
Come out of China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which comes from Asian systems, which
don't
has to
care
be
about the
sold.
Xbox 360 yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, Microsoft's going to end up having, give a free Japanese prefecture to those who buy an Xbox 360 or something. I don't know.
The governor gives you land.
What now?
Have to give a free Kasumi.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, blow up Kasumi would do major good for sales.
I'll blow up anything.
Should be your volleyball beach buddy.
Free with Xbox 360 Persicom.
Watermelon.
Watermelon. Yes, it's about the same size and the same shape.
And the same price.
Hey!
So, next news bit. GameStop is not taking Wii or PS3 pre-orders yet. And all this is that there's been rumors going around that GameStop is starting to take pre-orders for the new systems, and that is completely not true, false, not yours. So basically, they are not taking any pre-orders for any of these new systems. And the big reason for that is they're not quite sure how many they're being allocated.
Yeah,
which
not
is why
quite sure, maybe because the manufacturers don't
Doesn't-
know.
Yeah.
How about we start making
Not
them?
only
How
that,
about,
but
you
this
know,
wouldn't be the first time that people in a company send out other people to release rumors on the net that know they're not doing this just to get more publicity for people that are interested in
Well,
gaming systems.
it also
anyways.
wouldn't be the first time that a major company had two different people saying two different things in the PR department. So
I think they were just tired with the 360 release of having 400 people come in, and GameStop got tired of turning away 400 people and having them come back every goddamn day asking if they had their 360 yet.
I want my $5.
Just post a sign up. No, we don't have your 360. Not yours.
Yeah.
Go the fuck away.
So I think the only way to really guarantee a system is to pay for the whole thing outright and hope that...
That won't work at GameStop. They'll just
Yeah.
give you a credit towards other things.
The only way to guarantee you're going to have one is to have some patience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or pay twice as much on eBay.
Well, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
And make sure you're not buying a picture of one.
Yeah.
Or an empty box.
Make your own Wii out of origami and things around the house.
Ooh, I want to see what all the Wii auctions look like.
Why, you?
That's going to be...
They're going to be little.
They're going to be inflated.
So, next news bit. PlayStation 3 manufacturing not started yet. Kind of related to the whole GameStop thing.
A little bit.
So, news from Slashdot says that, they haven't even started manufacturing PS3s.
They have, however, started touring the production facilities, which really makes you happy and thinking, wow, they're about, what? How long are they from launch?
3 months.
If that.
Yeah.
Like 2.5 months.
I got a big feeling we're
And-
not going to see the PS3 till January.
I mean, if
Oh,
you're
they're
just...
going to make that Christmas release or die. They
Well,
might not
They may
have...
end
They'll
up
have
with
like
50
three systems.
effective
But they're
versions.
going
They
to
will.
launch
Well, it's
by
a-
Christmas.
well, yeah, I
You're
mean,
gonna have
it's
like a 30% turnaround rate on defective
when you're
systems, too.
2.5 months from a huge launch for a huge game system and you're just now touring the facilities, I don't think that was the original schedule.
That better be one motherfucking huge
Although
factory
this
with
is
a bunch of
probably,
workers, man.
Oh, this is probably just for assembly.
Yeah.
Because we know they've already been making the cell chips for some time.
Well,
They probably got all
I
the
should hope
parts,
so.
and it's just a
If
matter
they
of
haven't put
actually
out
putting it
mass-produced
together.
those chips, then we're seeing them sometime around 2009.
Yeah.
Well, and they've already sent out the dev kits, too. So
Wow.
I know they've at least done
They've
it.
made one.
Yeah.
I think they said they sent out something like 10,000 or 20,000 dev kits.
So, our next news bit, not a big surprise with this one, Dragon Quest IX possibly confirmed.
Does it
Oh
have
my
blobs
god,
in
a
it?
popular RPG series getting a sequel. When will the wonders ever cease?
Does it have blobs?
Every
Slimes.
Dragon Quest
Slimes.
will have
Slimes, that's what slimes.
Yes.
Yes.
It will have slimes and possibly character designs by Akira Toriyama.
I actually Rule 34 to slimes on /B and yeah, confirmed.
Okay. Thanks for sharing,
Well,
Steve.
it is a Japanese game.
No, this is true.
Yes. And slimes are very popular in both video games and possibly hentai.
Thus, Rule 34.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I have never seen hentai as I am above all that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and you've never looked at porn.
Number
and,
11.
You've never seen a Wii.
I'm
Yes,
calling.
I've never seen
Doesn't even touch his own.
Shenanigans.
Yeah. So our last news bit is Rockstar's Bully Gets Bullied.
Sure.
And what it is that Rockstar has a new game coming out called Bully.
And Jack Thompson has a new crusade.
Yeah.
A new reason to live.
Kill the bully.
So basically, Jack Thompson, from my understanding, he sent out a letter stating that he wanted to have a preview copy of Bully
Yes.
before it came out so that he could determine if it was
He and
detrimental
other people.
to the youths of America.
Not
He
for
and
Jack
other
Thompson,
other
not
interested
his.
parties.
Yeah.
Yeah, or he would sue them.
Yeah.
Does that?
Oh, and he's got so much weight behind him. I just don't know
Well,
how
didn't
anybody
he,
would
like,
give it up.
Didn't the Florida Bar Association say no, you can't practice law in Florida,
Not
not
only
yours?
that, but he tried to join a crusade on another law venture in, it was like Texas or Oklahoma, and the judge kicked him out.
Yeah, he wanted to, and I don't remember the legal term, but he wanted to be a friend of the court.
Amicus.
Yeah.
But, he
He's
wanted to
no
learn
friend
something.
of mine.
Yeah, but he wanted, and they're like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
So
well,
what it is, and I don't know enough about law, but I don't even think that has any real.
Well, you
legal
can
standing.
sue
I
over
think
anything
he
you
wanted
want.
to have his name put in the brief, basically, saying, yes, I'm attached to this case.
What, you
in
mean
some
for the
way,
amicus
shape,
brief or
form.
for this thing?
For this thing.
Oh, this thing? You can sue anybody for anybody. It's going to get tossed out if it doesn't have any foundation.
You got the
But
money
you can
to
sue
pay
anyone
the
for
lawyer.
anybody.
To it, it's like,
Yeah.
well, if you don't
The
let me
court will
play
be
this
more than
ahead of
happy
time.
to take your fees.
Yeah, and what Rockstar should have done is like, oh, okay, you can play the game, and they should have sent them a disc with nothing but source code on it.
Well, yeah.
No, they should have sent him a disc full of porn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, here's the stuff we're going to
BDSM
cut
porn.
out. Let us know what you
Look,
think.
Oh,
police.
I'm sorry. That one came out of my office. Let me send you a regular copy.
I sent you the wrong DVD.
What really cracks me up about this
Can you
is
send me back
Walmart
my
is
slime
pulling
porn?
the bully game from their shelves because they're afraid of like throwback from soccer moms selling it to
Well,
little Timmy.
but
and I'm
Walmart,
like,
it's
what?
like Walmart's been doing that forever.
Yeah,
Walmart
but this
pulls-
is,
it's not like
I'm not a
anything
Walmart.
new.
I'm anything but pro Walmart.
Well,
But
it's
I
just-
gotta laugh when I see a huge company like this just willing to pull something so little and minuscule. It
Well,
really
they
is gonna have
probably-
a big effect on
They
their
really
sales.
probably did it on their own.
No, they had moms complaining, saying, "Oh, you're going to carry
Well,
this
I
bully
really
game? I don't want my son buying this."
You had like 5 moms doing that because
Yeah.
those are the only 5 that actually knew that this
I
game
think,
was coming
I'm
out.
sure this
But
is
if-
more a publicity stunt by Walmart to say, "Oh yeah, we care about
Well,
the Jimmies."
yeah, because people haven't seen the game yet or played
Yeah.
it, so
Yeah.
they're just doing it because the game's getting some controversy and they want to
Yeah.
step away from it.
And
It is
if we-
actually a big deal. Walmart is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really
but
they're
huge.
big
but
enough
it's
that it
it's not
doesn't matter.
unprecedented that Walmart's does this. I mean, they do it all the time.
Yeah, and if we haven't learned anything from the FCC, we know that for every mother that complains, that's like 1 billion people.
Yeah, right.
Well,
For-
it depends on if
families-
you
For every
Yeah.
1 million times that
Dude, women got
for every 1 million complaints you get, it's one petition somewhere on the interwebs.
Yeah.
Well, what's that one company that submitted like all the FCC complaints?
The
That one
what's the new
organization?
version, the PMRC? I forget what it's called. It's the new version of it's like the Parents Media
Resource
or something,
Council,
or
something
something
like
like
that.
that. Well, the PMRC was the Parents Media Resource Council. That was Tipper Gore's thing in the 80s.
Yeah. And look at how well we
forget what they're
turned out
called
with
now.
all this music, with all these curse words and everything.
Yeah, we have great stickers that tell us what we want to buy.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll do that with video games too. So I don't have to shop as much.
There's like that whole thing with like Janet Jackson though and everything. There was like one Christian organization that was responsible for 99% of all the FCC
Yeah,
complaints.
yeah. It's P something or it's Parents Resource
I think
Council
Guinness
or
Book
something
of
like
World
that.
Records for most complaints.
Yeah, that's probably not too
I
far
forget.
from the
I
truth.
forget what it is. And there's like people that are like making a big brouhaha now at the FCC that they're trying to make it so that you can't use form letters to complain. So
Amen. Handwrite it, bitch.
yeah, if you don't care enough to actually like write out your own letter, then you really don't get a vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's it for our news bits. Next, we have a special feature, and it's just some local news we'd like to share with you, and this is Colorado only. And we want to talk about a couple places that are going to be showing up in Colorado in the near future, and something else very special. But first, we get NetDevil, and John, can you tell us who or what NetDevil does?
NetDevil is a massively multiplayer online role-playing game development company that recently came out with Auto Assault for NCSoft, and before that was known for Jumpgate. So they've done a bunch of real-time, massively multiplayer games.
With varying amounts of success, apparently.
Well, they haven't really had a breakout hit yet, no.
And then next, we are planning on getting Sony Online Entertainment here.
Oh, good. Maybe they can rewrite Colorado so it'll suck more.
Maybe
we
can
won't know how
hijack
much
a
it'll suck
shipment of
until
PS3.
after the election, Steve.
Oh.
Maybe we can hijack a shipment of PS3s from them.
Maybe.
That'd be pretty cool.
Well,
They would have to have
yeah,
some
but
first.
If it's Sony Online Entertainment, I mean, it could be EverQuest for all we know.
Well, EverQuest and Star Wars Galaxies and who else did they buy? Did they buy Matrix?
Yeah, didn't they?
I think they bought Matrix Online.
Yeah.
And then redid the combat system. That's Sony Online Entertainment's business model: is buy some other game and redo the combat system so it sucks.
Dude, that's what they've been doing since the Meiji Restoration.
Yeah, that's not going at nothing new.
We're gonna send people out. We're gonna find out what you do, and then we're gonna improve it.
Well,
and
except
resell it.
Except here they don't improve it; they make it suck. Well, I mean, like for Star Wars Galaxies, they went from you had to use this mystical sort of this mysterious set of tasks and skills and whatever and experience that you had to learn in order to become a Jedi. And people complained it was too hard to become a Jedi. So now you can just be a Jedi. So there's like a million Jedi running around in Star Wars Galaxies.
I remember reading
now.
something about one of the expansions that was coming out, added new character forms and new people that you could become, except they were going to kill it at the end of the year and start a new thing, and that whole expansion was just going to be a complete waste of your time because nothing that you did in that would exist in the new universe.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. I was like, do you cut your throats often
That's
enough?
awesome.
But as far as like PS3 stuff, we have no idea. But they are going to have some sort of operations here. And lastly, and this is via our good friends at Kotaku, is that there's going to be a Nintendo Wii party tour, and it's going to stop at various large cities.
That could be a
but
little
Denver
tour.
is one of the cities that
Very,
it will
very
stop
small
at.
tour.
Nintendo's Wii is going to stop here. We can
Free
all
your
marvel
Wii
at
in
it.
Denver.
I'm going to show up with a sign that says "Free the Wii."
Free your Wii.
Maybe I get some strippers from downtown.
So it is I believe it is a invite-only type of party, but
I
I'm
wouldn't
going to
want
try and
just
get some...
anybody to see.
They're not going to show their Wii to
Hey,
everybody.
if they just let anybody, Habbo might show up.
Yeah. So
Pool's
I will
closed.
find out more
No more
information,
Wii.
and
Pool's
if it's
closed.
something that we can attend, we will definitely try and at least get our hands on the Wii. Shut up, Steve.
I'm just thinking, pool's closed due to Wii.
It's like a Benny Hill joke. It's like the pee
is.
in pool is silent.
Silence but deadly.
Yeah, I want to go back to news bits, actually. I had a little weird thing that just kind of popped into my head, but I thought was real interesting. I
Was
saw
it a
that
Wii?
on... no, that pops out other places. I saw that Xbox Live is getting its first PlayStation game. And it just happens to be a Castlevania game.
Well, Castlevania is not platform-specific. Well,
So it's an emulated version of the PlayStation
Symphony of the
version.
Night, yeah.
well, it's
Very-
not really emulated. I think it's... Well, I'm not sure what they're going to do with the actual game itself. It might be based off the PlayStation version, or it could be based off the Saturn version. But Symphony of the Night was announced for Xbox Live Arcade, but as far as when it'll come out or
Was that
what
going
it
to fit
involves.
under the 50 meg guideline for that stuff?
I'm sure Konami will try. I don't know. Symphony of the Night did fit on a normal disc, but
Don't
beyond
know if
that,
it was full or not, or
I have no idea. I mean, I can imagine with the number of enemies and just the fact that it's all hand-drawn 2D, it can't be a small game. Next, we're going to talk about... we talked about the Nintendo Wii Party Tour.
it's like a party in your pants.
And the whole neighborhood's invited.
I'm going to start calling it the Revolution again, because people just...
I'm going to
Get
start
the
calling
giggles.
it the Nintendo penis.
So next we're going to go into our game topics and discussion, and we're going to talk about becoming older and still being a gamer. So our first older and still a gamer topic is when real life, with a trademark symbol after it, cuts into gaming. Now, we are not immune to this.
I was
Come
going
on,
to
Jenny,
say,
I don't want to have sex. I got to finish this quest.
I'm not exactly sure how we're going to talk about this. None of us are old.
Well,
we are all very young.
We're older than we were.
Yeah, but we are older in the sense
What are you, a
of
Pink
we are,
Floyd
we
song?
are, we
You
are
go
older
in the
than,
outdoor too, or
I'd start talking about the division bell.
Yeah, but here's here's the thing: as we get older, real life is going to intrude in our gaming time.
Only because we have to pee more often.
Thank God for the Wii. Now I got something else to grab.
So is that going to be one of the special attachments there?
Hey, they got a portable vibrator. They're taking care of the ladies. What about the guys?
Our video game system's so good, you'll need our special catheter attachment because you'll never want to get up from the couch.
Yeah.
Remote,
Especially
now
for
with
the Koreans.
colostomy bag.
Yeah, it's the Korean special.
All right.
Korean cafe bag.
There's actually, at the Penny Arcade Expo, this is actually one of the topics we're going to be talking about in one of their panels, is when life cuts into gaming. Although I'm not quite sure how they're going about discussing it. I'm figuring it's going to be like either Gabe and Tycho or a couple other people saying, well, you know what? We made the mistake of having children, and now I can't play games as much. Oh, boo-hoo.
I don't know. One of the things that happened for me is I got older and I could actually afford to buy the video games I wanted. So now I don't continue to play the same game for like 6 months.
Actually,
Yeah, but you
I
don't
really
have
don't.
any kids. That's the major difference. If you have kids, you have no money.
Well, see, part of the benefit of Gabe and Tycho's situation is it's their job. So they can play, while they're at work.
Yeah.
That is their work. I mean, they can literally just go play a game and then write about it. Boom, day done.
long as
Let's
it's
go
funny.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they don't have it, then they just, do fan service for like a month.
Well, they probably
break
get
their
games
fan
for
service
free,
control
too.
ever.
So-
Hey,
Yes.
some of the best continuous comics have come out of that.
The dreaded
I think some of the
continuity.
only continuous comics that come out of that.
Yeah. So when we get older and, having to deal with like real life type crapola,
Paying bills and
well, paying bills doesn't really cut into gaming.
kicked in the ass and held down by the man.
Affording your own fruit fucker.
Yeah.
That was a
bitch.
pain.
Yeah.
Can you buy that? Did they ever make like a little figure of the fruit fucker?
Yes.
Did they?
I've never seen an action
I
figure
did
for
see
it.
a guy make a case mod out of a fruit fucker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Had the little light up ball and everything.
But in related to this,
last night I saw a case mod of what's her name from
Leela.
Leela
From Futurama.
From Futurama.
Yeah.
It was
That
a
was
case
kind of
mod
a
of that.
stretch.
It was
yeah,
like
that was
wow.
pretty spooky.
Yeah. Somebody wanted to sit down and play at the same time.
Yeah.
But in the related topic that I also want to get into is the challenges in being a gamer in an older age. As we get older, let's face it, our reaction time is not going to be as great. Our eyesight probably won't be as great, and of course, playing video games all our lives probably won't help. And then, are we finding that games are becoming more difficult as we're getting older?
Well, is there any
I'm
kind
becoming less tolerant of standard controllers as I get older.
Really?
Well, yeah, because the standard controllers usually suck ass.
Do any of you find yourself older though? You know what I mean by
Well.
older? I mean, do you not do things you used to do?
Well,
Oh, my
I
back.
still walk
Wow.
into a place and I'll carry a portable with me, and if I got time to kill, I just sit down and start playing. I don't even
The
think
thing-
about it, but
the
I
thing
wonder, do some people feel embarrassed about being a gamer,
I don't.
being older?
I'm proud to be a gamer, but I've noticed that as I've gotten older, my gaming tastes have changed. For example,
Not as many of those hentai sims anymore.
Well, not really hentai sims to begin with, but I do find that I'm playing a lot more games that are very quick, easy, jump into, and then I can end very quickly. I'm not as patient for
So
like
you're
say
not just
RPGs
converting
type
from lowly
stuff.
to Shota here.
No.
Well, I think if you
Give it a
spent
few
less
more
time
years.
editing the podcast, I think you'd have more time to play video games.
Yeah. When I didn't have to cut 2 hours of Steve going.
Oh, I don't think you have to cut anything. I haven't said anything about Iraq.
Not enough minerals.
But I mean, okay.
Not enough minerals.
So back on
Five
topic.
by five.
As you've I know most of us have started gaming probably from the NES or possibly even earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Have we noticed that gaming taste, just the way we game in general, has changed as we've gotten older? Other than the fact that we can now afford all these games.
Well, yeah, but games have changed in general too. I mean, there's a lot more multiplayer type things. You can play online with people now. You can do parties together. There's a wider variety of
Yeah,
things.
massively
kinda have
multiplayer
to-
gaming did not take a time slice back when I was 10.
Yeah.
I kind of have to half agree with you on that one, Brian. Just simply because that gaming in general has changed it from, say, a graphical and processor standpoint. But I still think we're pretty much playing the same games we've been playing for the past 20
Oh yeah,
years.
they've gotten more complicated, but
Oh,
the same basic
we've had
principles,
new
I'd say.
genres too, though.
We have, but now I'm basically playing multiplayer Elite. I mean, so really.
I'd look more forward to a multiplayer game than I do a single player game. I mean, it's pretty rare unless it's on something like a portable, and even then, half of those are multiplayer, capable, just wirelessly.
I'm the complete opposite, but I hate playing with other people.
Get your own.
There's no room for more than one Wii.
Oh, leave it to him. He'll buy two.
Endless.
I've got a Wii over here, and I got a Wii over there.
Does the
I got Wii all over the
So
place.
is it not gay as long as the Wiimotes don't touch?
Yes.
But I mean, okay, John. As you've gotten older,
Don't even ask him, man. You know it's coming.
Forget it.
As I've gotten older, yes.
As you've gotten older, I mean, have you really noticed any real significant changes to gaming or just being able to game? Or, like, for example, reaction time. My reaction time was really, really good back then, but now it's still good, but not as good as it could have been.
So you're saying that's changed the kind
Well,
of games
I
you
think
have
just
forward to.
physically,
But
stuff
how
has
often
changed.
what is your gameplay for your shmups these days versus then?
Well, back then I didn't have a 40-hour-a-week job.
Exactly. So your reaction times are probably just duller because you're not playing as much.
Yeah, well, that would also require me to have time to play.
Well, once
There you
again,
go.
don't edit the
God damn
podcast so
this
much.
responsibility.
Yeah.
You got to leave in all the penis jokes. Man.
Where's the anarchy,
All the
man?
Wii has to stay in. You know what? As I've gotten older, I just have to say that I'm feeling kind of annoyed I had to wait until I was 30 to get a Wii.
It's a long time to wait. But
Ryan's just shaking his head. He's like,
I'm
I don't
shaking
even
my
know
head
what to do
too.
with that
on
one.
the plus side, now there's an
I got
entire
nothing.
half of the population that will be able to know what it's like to have a Wii.
Excellent.
Yeah. Okay.
I think there could be a lot of
Now-
lesbians with a Wii.
Back on topic.
Yes.
Do you think
This
with
isn't on
Nintendo's
topic?
new system that they're looking for this older demographic, the people who may have never ever played a video game before, and just trying to get them in with something that they figure should be simple enough for anyone to just jump in and
Well, I think
grab?
that question's been answered when you see how many people are playing Bejeweled on Xbox Live now. I mean, it's like little Johnny isn't the only one using Xbox Live anymore.
We've had some interesting recent statistics that show that casual gamers actually play a lot.
Yeah, so
They
it's like
play
the reason they're
casual
calling them
media.
casual gamers is because they play games that have like a short cycle or something.
Well, they
you know?
don't fall into
So
like the
something that-
sports genre.
They're not
or
playing
the
Final Fantasy
multiplayer
77.
genre.
They're playing Bejeweled or something. They're just
Something-
playing it for
something that
17 hours straight.
They're just playing something that's real quick, jump into, play for like 5 minutes.
No,
No,
actually,
they're not.
Their
They're playing
average
games that-
playing time
that-
is like 3 hours.
Yeah, they're playing the games that begin and end quickly, but they're playing them for long periods of time.
These are like frat house guys playing Halo 2. You know, they're
Yeah,
not
but they
just
stopped-
Except these are
casual
soccer
gamer.
moms playing Bejeweled. You find
Yeah.
out these guys have like
So-
these people have 3 hour a day gaming
So
habits.
do you think Nintendo just decided, hey, look, there's this huge casual gamer market that we could
No,
tap?
there's this
I don't
huge
know what the
market
fuck
that
is up
has
with
money.
Nintendo. I don't know. They want to be able to sell. They want to make games for less and sell them to more people. You know.
It's
Well,
just
that's not necessarily a bad business model.
Yeah, but do you really want to be the 7-Eleven of the gaming world?
if it's
I'm
just
just asking. I don't know. Maybe you do. I don't know.
Well, okay. Well, what do you mean by that analogy?
Well, you want to sell the cheapest item you can to the largest number of people.
Okay.
No, that's
Well,
Walmart.
that's not necessarily a bad. That's not necessarily a bad thing because it doesn't.
Well, I'm just saying, is it
People
a bad
can
thing?
enjoy
I don't know.
simple, shallow games. I don't know if I'm going to be one of them.
Well, maybe that's more third party. I don't think very many of Nintendo's games are shallow. Granted, they repeat some successes or sequelize popular things, but they've renovated things. You look at things like Metroid and how far it's come. It's a completely different game. It went from
that's also not the kind of game that they're advertising for the Wii. I mean, sure, we're going to get another Metroid, but that's over on the hardcore side. And when they're talking about things that are like, well, here's the tennis game, the Nintendo Sports thing, where you're going to sit there and hit it with a racket.
Well, I think they're trying to cover all
Metroid
areas.
Is not the simple.
They're really trying to show, hey, look at the capabilities of this thing. You can play tennis. You can shoot a rope across a bridge to get yourself there. Well, I mean, you can make a sword out of it. They're really just showing the wide.
How much
area.
mileage is the average person going to get out of looking like a monkey?
Hey, you'd
jumping
be
around your living room,
a little bit of
rolling
liquor,
behind
you
their
can go
couch.
a long way.
Well, you can, but I don't know if the average person is going to get that much mileage out of it. I mean, if they're going to buy the system, they're going to buy a couple games, and then they're never going to buy a Wii game again.
And then they're going to end up playing around with it too, just out of curiosity. And I think it more is a family system than it's
I think what it is just
they want it to be. We'll see if it works out for them.
Yeah, I think a large part of it is that they've seen that as there's been more and more video games systems coming out, they've become more and more complex, and now they're saying, hey, let's go ahead and make everything simple so that any idiot with one brain cell can pick it up and automatically.
Well, and it's not worth dropping all that money to begin.
It might also be just completely based on Nintendo could not afford the R&D budget to go this standard.
Yeah,
route
exactly.
For this
they don't
generation.
want to shell out that kind of money to be just a third system that's doing all the same basic things, just
especially
a little
with
bit differently.
the GameCube not really being the stunning success of this generation.
Well, that's Nintendo's fault. That's completely Nintendo's fault for that. So
can we blame the N64 on Nintendo too?
Well, the Nintendo 64 was a real odd one.
We have to blame the Nintendo 64 on Pickle.
No, that was Nintendo's inability to see the future and accept the fact they had to go to a disc system.
Yeah.
They've always been late in that respect.
Yeah.
I also remember the cartridges on that system being much more expensive on the average than the games were.
Yeah, but you
for
could
the other
drop
systems.
one of those things out of a 3-story window and pop it in, and it still played just fine.
Yeah, but you could drop the CDs from the other ones out of a 3-story window and then go and buy another one for $15.
Well, and also the CDs were pretty durable. Sure, the acrylic case they came in and
well,
shattered into 4 pieces.
It's like you get a shipment of those at the store and you open it up and I got a bunch of CDs and a million little pieces of plastic.
I will say this. I'm still on my original Nintendo 64. I can't tell you how many PlayStations I've gone through.
Well, because they don't have any
I
moving
can tell
parts. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I never owned a PlayStation, and I'm
I
on my
went through
first
4 of
PS2.
them, man.
Still fine.
Thank God for that EB return policy.
I think I went through
saved me about $400.
I only ever went through one PlayStation.
Yet I'm still on my original PS2, and I've logged a lot of hours on that baby.
Yeah.
I think it's only the fact that I never played DVDs on it. I've probably played 6 movies on it.
Played a lot of DVD games on it. Though.
Yeah, that and you don't
so maybe not.
keep your system on the carpet where it doesn't get ventilation, which seems to be the common problem with a lot of why these systems are failing. Oh, you mean you have to put it in somewhere where it won't block the vents?
You mean you can't live in the jungle of my shag carpet?
And maybe you have to not let your kids insert a peanut butter and jelly sandwich into the drive slot.
But it'll allow me to play the peanut butter and jelly game.
God, what did we use last week? I knew you didn't eat them.
Way yo, peanut butter jelly.
Anyway, that's about all we really touched on this topic, which wasn't really haven't touched much on this.
That's pretty cool. It was in stereo.
But basically, the only real challenges in being a gamer at an older age is just finding the time, money, and the physical coordination to actually play some of these games. As I'm sure that a lot of our skills that we've learned are starting to go downhill at a very slow rate.
I think also there's a lot of games coming out anymore, and we can't afford them all. We just don't have the time or the money.
But see, here's the thing: we actually can choose which ones we want. We don't have to buy them.
Yeah, but we gotta wind it down to the top few. I'd buy more games if I had the money to, just to experience those games. But I mean,
I remember when I was a kid, and the controllers were the right size for my hands.
Well, you were smaller back then too.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, you like those
still the
big-ass old Xbox controllers, too.
Those are so ridiculous.
Those things are like a weapon. You could just unplug it, take it to the door.
It's
and
like you
hold
launch
up,
your
just knock 'em
B-2
out.
bombers off those things.
Still my perfect controller.
Yeah. Well, that's because you're a mutant freak. That's why.
Well, yes.
I don't know.
Roger.
I have big American hands.
Perhaps.
Don't say it. Don't say it. I'll smack the first one that utters that W word.
Weeblos.
Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down.
Weeaboo.
Weeaboo.
Whip it.
Anyway, so now we're going to go to Gamer Under a Rock, and Steve is doing a review on Question Mark the game.
Question mark the game. No, actually, I am reviewing in a sequel of one of my previous reviews, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Chaos Bleeds.
Yes.
Oh, it's interesting he's doing that because 2 days ago was the anniversary of the original Buffy game.
Yes, which made me think of doing this review.
Okay.
Lightning
So
strikes twice.
I'm assuming you're not going to go too much into the actual Buffy storyline.
No, although this does take place, I think, between Season 6 and Season 7. This game, actually, previously, I had lambasted simply because it was, I had remembered it being a stiffer control system, but looking better. Mm-hmm. On review of this game and playing it again, I disagree with my previous assessment.
Oh, the stabby's actually better in the second game?
I actually, after playing the first one and now playing the second one in close relation to the first one, I actually prefer the combat system in the second one.
Wow.
It is not as dynamic as the first one. There's definitely, you get more moves in from pressing back and forth and thing. But on the other hand, it's a lot more solid. This game, all around, is like infinitely more refined. This is like they took the original game and they refined it, and it's obviously a more mature game.
So is this like the same development team, and does it just look like they refined the engine from the first one?
The engine looks totally different. I mean, we're talking light and day, different. The models move different. The models look different. Everything acts different. I mean, it feels like a different game with the same characters.
Was any of this a result of people complaining about past problems with the original game?
No, I think this was a result of them making more money with the first one. And Buffy progressively getting more popular as a cultural thing as time went on.
Kind of forced them to bump it up a little.
Yeah, at this point, Angel was actually getting very popular, and Buffy was, had gotten on UPN, and was getting a lot more marketing money behind it. There's a lot more of the characters in the first one. You actually, unlike the first game when you actually only got to play as Buffy, you actually get to play as various different characters in this game. So you start off playing Buffy and you kind of get around, used to just beating up stuff. Then she kind of takes off after Vampire and you're playing Willow.
And they have different fighting styles.
For the different characters. This game, like the other one, was a lot harder than I remembered it being. I apparently was fairly good at this game when I stopped playing it because I was like,
that
wow.
happens a lot when we get older.
This game was a lot harder, and so it took a while to actually get back up to speed on the game. The nice thing,
loaded up your old save file and started from the middle.
I started from the beginning.
Yeah.
I
didn't even know what you're doing.
I didn't even know where I was with the other ones.
What were they doing?
Exactly, it was exactly like that. The other great thing about this game was that there was a lot more secrets in this game. In the first Buffy the Vampire Slayer game, you basically your reward for finding secrets was to find these little crystals that gave you an extended Slayer power bar, which is just kind of like your combo energy bar. But in this one, as you find secrets, you unlock little video clips that are interviews with various cast members and little behind-the-scene things for the video game and stuff. So it's a little bit more
fanboy bonus there.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit of fan service in there. You also get to unlock at one point Joss Whedon rambling for a good 5 minutes about the video game. He just keeps going and going and going. You're like going.
He's very good at that.
He was.
This rocks, man. You got to play this. I swear this is like.
Well, and the funny thing about that is in the background you see clips from the game of characters fighting in the game, but it keeps looping. So you're like you're mesmerized by this loop of the video game in the background. So you get to play a lot of different characters. The most unique of which is probably Sid, the possessed dummy, who is the demon hunter. He's about a foot tall, and you're running around, killing things, and it's pretty cool.
A little reminiscent of the new Army of Darkness game, where you got the little pint-sized midget tossing.
The game has a couple down points. There's a couple problems with when monsters break through walls, they won't walk through the walls to come and attack you, and you can't throw things through the walls in order to hit them.
Just break the wall down there and stand on the other side and taunt you.
Yep.
Come play with my Wii, bitch.
Exactly. but you get these little things called Hellfire jars that are there's a lot of stuff that are holdovers from the previous one. There's the Holder Water. Hellfire doesn't appear anywhere whatsoever in the Buffy series. It's just a carryover from the previous game. And you can't toss stuff through that hole in the wall. It'll act like the wall's still there and hit the wall.
Bizarro.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying. They also, unlike I believe unlike the first one, you don't get the Super Soaker anymore. The first one had a Super Soaker you could fill with Hellfire and Holy Water. This one you get kind of a flamethrower thing, but not really. The other thing I really don't like about this, and this is a personal note, they don't have Allison Hannigan voicing Willow.
It's a little thing.
Did they on the first one?
They did. And in the first one, likewise as the first one, they do not have Sarah Michelle Gellar voicing Buffy. They have the same voice actress who voiced Buffy in the first one, who is excellent. Except for a few words here and there where she doesn't quite get it at the end of a sentence, she sounds like Sarah Michelle Gellar. The voice actress who's doing Willow does not. She's
So they got like the same actress who did the pilot or something.
Well, no, but you can tell that she's doing her best effort, but they just couldn't find somebody who's had the same vocal habits as Willow did.
Should have sent her home with like the first 2 seasons and said, hey.
Well, and she has a difficult voice because she's kind of like that sort of, well, I was, and if you don't do it quite right, it just sounds like you trying to sound like Willow.
That or a female Bugs Bunny.
Yeah. So, they improved on the combat system, and it's nice to be able to play other people. So I give this a 4.
That's a pretty good rating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very fun game.
Oh my God, a whole number.
I give it a 4, and
divisible by 2.
The script is definitely better than the first one, I think, at least.
So it just took a little rehashing and trying it again to realize how good it was.
Did Josh Whedon have anything to do with the actual video game scripts?
Oh yes, okay. He wrote both of the video game scripts.
Oh, nifty.
Which is why you actually the vocal phrasings of all the characters are correct, and they actually fit. The first one kind of does this whole fan fiction thing in the middle of the whatever. But the second one actually...
Is that the one where all the characters pair up and have a wild orgy on screen?
I wish. No, but the second one actually...
Vampires Gone Wild.
...fits in fairly well. By season... The first Buffy the Vampire Slayer actually, I believe, took place must have taken place after season 3. But season... this one takes place after season 6, so he had twice as much of the series background and lore to pull from. So you actually get a nice little game that fits in between 6 and 7.
Thank you, Steve. Next, we're going to go into our game reviews, and I am going to start with a game done by our good friends at Q, the people who brought us Luminous and Meteos. I'm going to talk about Every Extend Extra. Now, before I begin, Every Extend Extra was a freeware game developed by Omega, which is the guy's name. And all it is that you play like this little ship that looks like a star. And you hit a button and the ship explodes. And the whole point of the game...
Oh, that's a useful button.
Well, you float around on the screen, a la asteroids.
It's a really short game.
Yeah. Well, the point of the game is to create large chains by making yourself explode and getting enough points to earn more extra men, so that you can continue on with the same level.
It's a suicide mission.
Game Every Extend Extra. So the way the game works is that you start off as this ship and you have a stock of 11 guys, and enemies will start showing up on the screen from all directions. And as you make yourself explode, you'll when you destroy an enemy, any enemy that's next to it will explode and cause chain reactions. The larger the chain reactions, the more points that you get. More points you get, the more extra lives that you can have in order to continue through the level. So getting large amounts of chains and timing it with how the enemies are set up on the screen is very important. Now, on top of just being able to make the enemies around you explode, they'll leave special power-ups. Some power-ups, like a yellow crystal, will give you 10 more seconds of time. Other ones, such as the pink ones, are what are called Quicken. And what the Quicken does is it makes the level go faster, and it goes up to 8 levels. So what happens is that as you get more of these power-ups, what will happen is that the level will increase in speed and more enemies will be able to show up on the screen, allowing you to get larger combos.
So would you call that the quickening?
Yes. And then finally, as you make larger chains, you'll see green gems, and those are just bonus points, but they're real important to get more extends in the game.
Part of the fun, though, is...
so let me get this right. A Japanese developer made a game about suiciding your ship into other larger ships.
Well, that's the thing. You start off with a time limit. If you actually run into a ship, you will lose time. You'll lose 5 seconds. And if you run out of time, it's game over. You have to hit the button to make yourself explode. But there's also techniques to the game. For example, if you just hit the button by itself, you will just explode, and anything around you will explode. But if you hold down the button, you can charge up your explosion and make a larger explosion. So if you find that there's 2 sets of enemies real far away, you can make your explosion large enough to hit both of them at the same time. The game itself, it's kind of a weird mix between... It's not really a shooter. I mean, there is some bullet dodging involved, and just kind of timing with enemies, but it's not really a shooter per se.
It's not a
and
shmup
it's kind
or...
it's almost like a puzzle game in a way. It's really hard to describe. It's very hard to define what it is.
It's kind of pretty.
Yeah, it's pretty, and it actually does one of the things that Mizuguchi, who's the producer of these games, Luminous and Medios, and now Every Extend, is that he loves to use music in the game. And what this game does is it has various musical tracks, and as you get quickens or as you get certain power-ups, the music tempo will change, or it'll get faster, or it'll get slower. So it does things with the music and the visuals as well on top of just the normal gameplay, which is a nice feature.
That's definitely a bump up from Every Extend on the freeware PC.
Also, for those who played the original freeware Every Extend, the game on the PSP also comes with the original freeware version of Every Extend on the disc itself. So if you never got a chance to play the freeware version, it's right there ready for you to play. One interesting aspect of the game is the ranking system. Depending on how poorly or how well you do in the game, you'll get a letter ranking. But as you get higher combos and get a higher rank, you can actually use the rank to go up to specific levels. So if you get like the highest ranks possible, you'll go up to the highest levels. You'll go up to like the highest levels. But if you get like low ranks, you'll go kind of downward. And there's hidden bosses and hidden levels that you can't get to without manipulating your rank.
So what would you give this rating?
Well...
As a rating? Why would you give this game for a rating?
Every Extend is a very bizarre game, and I wouldn't recommend it for everyone. It's kind of one of those niche titles that people are either going to really like or not really care for. So in the end, I'm going to end up giving it like a 3.5 out of 5. I personally really love the game, but I can't really recommend it for a lot of people just simply because it's just real kind of out there, and people just may not understand the concept, and I don't think it's as accessible as it could have been.
So would you say...
You might even say a 4.5 for yourself.
Well, for me, I would give it a 4. Its real weakness is that some of the music is kind of okay. I mean, it's very techno, drum and bass type stuff, but the game itself is actually very small. I would have liked to see a lot more levels and a lot more variety.
So to insert some dreaded continuity here, would you say this is a cult game?
Yeah, I would say Every Extent Extra is very much a cult game.
Very
Well, at
niche.
this point, I think shmups are cult games.
Well,
And it's not even really a shmup, though. That's the thing. It plays kind of, sort of.
Well, you don't actually
but
shoot.
It's not, you don't shoot anything.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of audience that it's going to attract.
Yeah, it's
That's what
going to
it's
attract.
closest
Like,
to. That's where the people who are going to
Yeah,
play.
Yeah,
it's
you're
gonna
not getting
attract the
Mario
crowd.
Party enthusiasts playing this.
yeah.
Well, that was the whole point of it being freeware, though, was everybody got to try this out, and it didn't really.
Yeah.
It may have started up as a shmup classification, but
But I will say that I'm really glad that Q Entertainment decided to take a chance on this freeware game and make a pretty decent PSP game, and I hope they look into more of these freeware games to come out with more games like that. So if you're listening, Tetsuya, warning forever. That's all I'm going to say.
So you have the Japanese version of this? Is
Yeah,
there
it's
going to be
Japan
a
only.
US release?
Don't know.
hasn't been listed yet. If it
Hasn't been listed. I kind of doubt it, though. Just the game itself just seems very bizarre. It'd be very hard to market for an American audience. Don't know. That's a tough call. I doubt it, though. So next, John, do you have a review for us?
I was going to review Jungle Beat.
Okay.
Don't
so,
let us stop you.
Yeah. So is this about masturbating in Africa? What is this game about?
Well, you take out your Wii.
Once again, the Wii.
And you smack
The
it on the
Diehard
drums.
Gamer Radio drinking game. Take a shot every time someone says "we" and giggles.
Hey, we don't want to be responsible for alcohol poisoning.
Get on with it!
Get on with it!
Now, I
Off
think
with their heads.
all of us have actually played Jungle Beat now, which is actually pretty nifty because this is the kind of game that you can pull out, show to your friends, and people have a fun time with it.
Oh, like the Wii.
It's a party game, that's for sure.
I don't know. It kind of depends on the crowd if I really want to bring my Wii out or not.
Hey, you can't beat yourself up. Go alone.
But Jungle Beat is a fairly bizarre game in that it's a platformer that uses the Donkey Konga bongo controllers. The control scheme for it works better than you think it would because, well, how the hell are you supposed to control a monkey with some bongos? I don't know.
I'm a junkie with a monkey.
Put some bananas inside.
It turns out what you do is you go ahead and you hit the right bongo to go to the right, the left bongo to the left. You hit them both together to jump, and you can do a clap that allows you to collect bananas
It's
or
actually
to
got a
attack,
microphone built in between the drums, so
Yeah.
here's your clapping.
which is probably the most difficult part of the game because after I've been playing for about an hour, man, my hands hurt from all that clapping.
Yeah, definitely play with friends and switch off between levels. Alternating is key to survival.
The game has a great, bright, colorful visual style to it. Interesting variations in the levels as you go through. I mean, it's the same variations we've seen platformers through the ages and go through jungles and ice fields and deserts. But they're well done here. Have the standard Nintendo level of quality, which is always a compliment.
It also looks just like the same style and design as the three Donkey Kong games that came out in the N64.
A better version of those.
Basically.
They do some nice fur effects for some of the larger creatures in there.
Is that the Donkey Kong Country ones?
Yeah, Donkey Kong Country.
One of my only complaints about the game is that as you go through it, there's really 4 bosses that just get continually repeated as you go through the levels. But they keep getting more difficult as you go through, and the levels themselves have interesting variations to them that continue to make it fun.
So they're kind of Nintendo memes.
I don't know. I haven't seen those bosses in any other games. Kind of like
just
Nintendo
kinda
cost cutting.
Ran out of time to make more bosses. Insert boss here. Well, we didn't get any time to make any new ones, so
Well, they didn't want
let's use that one.
They didn't want to wait till the sequel to revise them, so they just did it in game.
Well, it's not like they do these big bosses for each thing. It's like every time you're going through, it's just you fight these same 4 bosses and you continue to go through in succession and fight
But
them
they're
again at the end
somewhat
of
harder.
each level. So it's more like they're kind of the exclamation point for the level than actually being a big boss.
Uh-huh.
It's really a creative game because, well, there's nothing else that controls quite like it, and they make use of the controller in a lot of interesting places, like for levels where you're flying around and you're trying to tap on each side, or where you've got to swim or do something different like that.
I played through Wii.
Not a terribly long game. Said there is some repetition to it, but it's also one that you can pull out at a party and people have fun with just because it's different and new. And it's, for the cost of it, I'd say it's probably a 3 out of 5. If you also like Donkey Konga, it's a much better purchase because then you get double use out of the controller. And you get to play with your monkey.
Yes.
Well, that's always a plus.
Yes.
So,
Pet my monkey. Pet him.
Last we have Brian. Brian, you have a review for us?
Oh, do I ever? Well, no real special review. I mean, nothing above and beyond everybody else.
Well, you had my hope up there for a second. I thought
Yeah, I dropped it like a rock.
you're like reviewing Polygon Love or something.
This one will make you grab for the Wii and not let go.
I will get you Polygon Love once I actually find all the mods for it.
Oh, and I'm almost done downloading that Bikini Karate game.
Oh, I would have liked that a lot more if it didn't remind me of Pit Fighter so much.
Yeah.
The
Anyways,
motion capture is just so bad.
Yeah.
I recently picked up imported a game, since it seems to be a good import topic here. A game called RHYTHM Tengoku. Probably one of the oddest games to come out of Japan lately, but what do you expect from the guys that did WarioWare? I mean,
I expect crazy.
Yeah,
absolute.
You get everything you
crazy.
expect out of this game. That's for sure. It's so off the wall. It's a rhythm game that has actions to it, and I don't know how to really say that, but you do repetition. You do these repetitive actions in the game, and like for instance, one of them, it plays a song in the background, and every time it hits a certain note is a time a baseball pops out, and you've got to hit this ball with your baseball bat. You're just a little baseball player, and you've got to swing and hit it. But the neatest thing about the game really is you could almost play it blind, because once you learn when to hit or when to strike by listening to the music, you can do it without even visually looking at it. And they prove that in the game. They'll actually pull the picture farther back into the distance, or they'll push it farther forward where you can't see everything clearly, just to show you that, yeah, you can do this if you just listen for the beat.
So it's WarioWare rhythm game.
It really is. It's so off the wall, and it's got like 40 stages to it. I mean, there's a lot to the game for what it is, but each stage is... Well, each of those stages breaks down to 5 per level, and you have 4 basic levels in that. 4 little mini games you've got to complete. And then the 5th one, the top of that column, is your mini Millage.
There were 5 in the boss at the top.
Was it 5? I thought it was only 4.
It was 5, because remember you were saying there were 40 and we counted it up, and so there was 5, so that meant there were 8 levels.
Yeah. Okay, maybe 5. I thought they counted the mini game or the mini Millage.
The boss one, I think, was number 6. I'm pretty sure.
That's entirely possible, but the boss one is just hectic. I mean, it is. You better know those first 5 down before you go into the boss stage, because it gets crazy. It literally switches in the middle, right between games, and you go through this whole thing where they mix all the music together, and it's hilarious at the same time. And I'd swear that I heard a Paula Abdul song in the background of one of the stages. It was just kind of an odd throwback, but. So that's basically the game. You clear one column and it opens up 2 more columns, and you do the same. And certain games actually have other games built within them, but they're just more harder versions of that same basic game that you're playing. But there's odd little things in the menus too, where you can go in and just play the drums with this character, and each one of the buttons on your DS Lite or your GBA will serve as a component of the drum, or a cymbal, or hitting the bass drum. And then there's another one that has a cat face that's made out of a GBA, and you push the buttons and the face meows in different ways or moves its ears while it's doing it, and it's just hilarious. It's so god-awful funny that it's twisted, that's for sure. It really lives up to its creators'
previous games.
Yeah, it by far, it's a unique game. It just, this is one of those rare games that you probably won't see again, and you definitely won't see on the GBA again. It's probably the last of its kind, but it is such an oddball thing. If you're really looking for those rare type of games, and you like rhythm games, and you like just playing something wacky and off the hilt that's just quick and easy and doesn't require a lot of thought, this is a game for you.
If you like Wario World, you like this.
Oh, yeah, by far. I'd say this is just a little offshoot of it, kind of a side story thing, and in no means connected to it, but just the same basic concepts.
The great mystery is why this isn't a WarioWare game, then.
Yeah, I think it was just more of an experiment, or maybe it was like, kind of Pixar with their little movies where they did before they did a full movie. This is kind of the little offshoot things, and these are like test functions or something, and
maybe
they just ended up making a game out of it.
The marketing director changed and decided no more Wario World.
Yeah, it just or the license wore out or something. Who knows?
Well, there's WarioWare coming out on the Wii, and it looks really interesting on how they use. But WarioWare seems to be the game that kind of we're going to orient yourself with this weird way of playing games, like with Twister, and you had the gyroscope, or WarioWare Touched, where pretty much the whole game was teaching you how to use the touch screen. So
some of the games, the mini games in this are just so wacky. I mean, one just has this little onion-looking face, and you there's a pair of tweezers that move around it, and you have to squeeze the tweezers when you get to a hair and pull it out at just the right time. And
but
some of the hairs are curly.
Like turnips.
Yeah, the faces are hilarious, and they react to everything you do, and it's just so funny. And then there's the baseball bat. There's one where you dance or you're marching for some sort of little army, and you have to listen to the guy, and he's company, and that determines whether you start or stop, and then whether you turn your head left or right, and then you mix all those games together for the final one, and it gets hilarious. I mean, this is just a great little party game too. I mean, you could pop this in your Super Game Boy and have just as much fun as Donkey Kong, for that matter, because it's just so erratic and silly at the same time. And it doesn't take a lot of... I mean, there's a lot of kanji in it in the beginning, but, I mean, if you just know where the first couple of selections are, you can get through it and play through it, and it's just hilarious. Definitely good for oddball gaming. And
yeah, surprisingly enough, the game is very import-friendly.
Yeah. I'd probably... Just for its uniqueness, I'd probably give it a 3.5. I personally think it's more of a 4-point game from my eclectic taste, but most people probably wouldn't understand it, and even when they saw it, they just wouldn't appreciate the beauty of the game. So
yeah, it's kind of like Oendon. It's the very strange type of rhythm game that you wouldn't expect to see, but you never know. And very small chance of it being a domestic game, Bri.
Oh, very small, if any. I highly even doubt anybody would even consider this.
Yeah.
It's just that strange. You don't even know what to say when you see it. That's how strange it is. And if you can't figure something out by looking at it, I mean, you're damn well not going to put money behind it.
Yeah. Well, that's it for our game reviews. A show note, some of the schedules of our shows are going to change as we have prior commitments that we have to attend to. So please look at our website to see when our next shows will be. We'll actually have a schedule listed out. Also, we promise to not take as much time editing and getting the shows out as quickly as possible.
And spend more time gaming. Yes.
Yeah, it's just we lost a couple people at my work, so I've had to pull a lot more hours just to make up for.
Viewers don't care.
Well, at least give them a reason.
No, they don't care.
Well, yeah.
Talk about video games.
Fillers for TV.
Yeah.
Fillers for sitcoms.
So anything else you want to add before I wrap this thing up?
Wee.
I also promise that there won't be
Wrap your
any
Wii
jokes.
Wrap your Wii.
I don't know if you're going to be able to hold up your end of that bargain.
If I have to edit this
It's
all
3
night,
against 1.
let me go ahead and do the closing thing here. You've been listening to Diehard Gamer Radio. As always, you can listen to us at diehardgamerradio.com. You can also listen to us at allpodcast.com and podcastalley.com. We promise that iTunes linkage will be up in the near future as soon as John shows me how to do it, or if John does it himself.
And remember, Die Hard Gamer Radio is Wii-friendly.
Yes. So, once again, you have been listening to 4 guys who know a lot about games and not much else.